Hey everyone, this is Keaton Walker. He is an amazing entrepreneur. I've known him for a couple years. We've had partnerships together and made hundreds of thousands of dollars together. And I just wanted to talk to him about he created a really successful agency. He sold it, and I don't know how that process is like, so I want to ask him those questions and also some case studies with things that he's done in the past. Cool. So Keaton, I want to hear the origin story, just a brief overview. How did you get started with an agency, and what was like from 0 to 3 clients?
Yeah, so my family business, my family business was a swim school. And
Oh, really?
So they teach babies how to swim, and they were opening a new location. They needed some help, so I was doing everything from like getting like digital billboards to like reaching out to elementary schools, knocking doors to sell swimming lessons, and
Think that worked?
and running ads. Kind of.
Yeah.
It was helpful to like get some feedback from the market and be like, oh yeah, like one time I knocked on somebody's door and they're like, oh, you're putting in one down the street. Like we go to the one an hour away. We're just going to keep going there because we like it better.
You like? Dang. Huh.
Yeah. Anyway, just trying everything. What I noticed was the most scalable and most trackable, et cetera, was the ads.
Yeah.
And got to a point where I didn't fully know how to like scale them. I wasn't sure if I was doing everything right. And so we ended up hiring this kid who was like 17, friend of a friend, to run the ads. And I watched him like overwhelm the office staff with leads in a matter of like 2 weeks. And I was like, this is insane. This kid's 17. Like he said some cringy stuff on the phone. Like he's like, what is he? He's not that special. Like if he could do it, I could probably do it. And I think every entrepreneur probably has a similar moment where they kind of see someone being successful and then they're like, that person's not that smart. I could probably do it, you know?
He's not that smart. Yeah. Dumb kid, yeah.
Anyway, that was just so eye-opening for me. So then I bought a course. Didn't work out. The course was terrible. Ended up hiring a mentor and dropped out of college like the same month and was like, okay, I'm going to make this work. And what had happened previously with a couple of the free trial clients that I got was I just got to a point where I didn't know what to do. And so having like a mentor in my pocket, so to speak, where I could be like, hey, what do I do here? Like, how do I handle this situation? Even just borrowing that confidence, like if he didn't know the answer, he'd just tell me he doesn't know the answer, but I'd probably do this. That skyrocketed my confidence. And so I just started reaching out to orthodontists in my area because I had someone tell me that would be a good niche. And I was nervous selling, so the guy that was mentoring me said, why don't you just do research instead of sales? I was like, okay, that sounds easy enough. So I reached out, I was like, hey, just doing some research on orthodontists and best marketing practice. I'd love to talk to you for 30 minutes. Like, I'll share everything that I know about marketing and like do an audit for you if I can ask you like 10 minutes of questions about your business. And literally the first orthodontist I reached out to with that pitch was like, yeah, let's do it. Got on the phone and closed them like 2 weeks later. And then I didn't commit to the niche. I was in my head. I had like 2 months before I closed someone new. But the next 2 clients came from creating like a PDF about how to advertise online as an orthodontist. And then I posted in a Facebook group and I said, hey, I made this PDF, been doing a ton of research, been testing it in the real world with one of my clients. Would love anybody who, wants to see how to dominate online as an orthodontist, but it won't let me attach it. So comment your email below and I'll send it to your email. And I had like 250 orthodontists comment, yes, send me the PDF. PDF was terrible. I could have closed probably 10 or 20 clients off of that, honestly, all time, if I made a better PDF, but I just didn't know what I was doing. But was able to close 2 more like pretty quickly after that. I started taking the agency seriously in April of 2019, and then I had my 3rd client like July.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I want to go back to, because I've never even heard about the swimming school.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're opening a 2nd location. This kid comes in. Did you ask him for like, okay, how are you doing it? Or did you just not talk to him at all?
I watched everything. So I was technically like the marketing manager.
Yeah.
And so I was interfacing with him a lot and watching how he set everything up. And the initial launch of the ads was like not great. And he was like, I'm going to switch some stuff around and he just like changed some copy on the landing page, like switched a couple of things, and I saw like overnight instant change in the ads, like the changes that he had made to the campaign make a difference in the lead volume, and I was like, whoa, maybe this stuff actually works. So that's just like seeing it up close really made a big difference.
Yeah. And then what about, do you think I know this is random, but do you think a swimming school is actually a good business? Or like, would you not, for anyone, obviously no one's probably trying to get into that, but like, do you think your family's business was actually a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool because they're kind of like a household name, and it just grew really naturally in the community because the product was really good. They like focused on, my mom's like a human development major, and so she studied everything about like how kids develop, and then had taken like a very hardcore ISR instruction, which is like in swimming resource, they're like way too hard on the kids. Like the kids, you see like a 1-year-old like swimming across the pool. I taught a lot of kids growing up swimming that would like come traumatized out of those programs, and but on the other end you have the rec centers, which are just like group lessons. You're not actually learning anything. So my mom kind of found this medium where it was like, we're focused on the child and their progress, but we're not pushing them too hard.
Yeah.
And so that like really heavy focus on the product made a big difference in the business. And it's an interesting niche for anyone that wants to get into it. Like I don't want to say they print money, but like independent swim schools, it's a tight-knit community. So if you got in to 1 or 2, they'd refer you around. And if you learned how to, it's not that hard because you're just advertising to moms.
Yeah.
and moms are on Facebook all day.
Yeah.
So
there's plenty of groups like Moms of Dayton, Ohio. Like there's groups like that.
Yeah.
Like I've seen, this is also random. I've seen videos of like people just throwing a baby into the water. Did you guys do that group?
No, that's the hardcore one I was talking about.
So that's bad.
Yeah. Well, at a certain age, it's okay. But like too young, there's no reason to.
Yeah.
Like
for like a
you should just be.
old.
Yeah, you should be watching your kids. Not like you can teach them how to swim. Like that's a life-saving skill. But when they're a year and a half, like you don't need to be traumatizing them. Like there's siblings. There was a 5-year-old and like an 8-year-old, and the 5-year-old was like swimming laps around the 8-year-old because she had trauma from swimming at like a year and a half old, and they let them go way too long without air before they saved them in those like really, hardcore programs.
But I mean, okay, so she's swimming fast. Is that a bad thing though? Or is it just
no, she wasn't swimming fast. She couldn't. The 5-year-old was swimming way faster than the 8-year-old, and just learning faster because she was petrified of the water because of something had happened when she was a baby.
Interesting. Dang. That's crazy. I almost drowned at like 5 years old or something like that in Maine. And that would have been great to have those lessons. I've also heard that like there's a huge correlation between like the European countries that the better you are at swimming, the more like economically successful the whole country is, which is pretty interesting. So you're saving the world out here. But
there you go.
Your parents. Okay. So origin story, we got 3 clients. I know that. Okay, how would you do all that over again if I wasn't going to orthodontist? You don't have to say a niche because everyone wants that, but how would we do that all over again? Because also, going into Facebook groups, a lot of times you try to post in a Facebook group, they're going to shut you down as soon as that. So any other strategies you would use?
Honestly, walk-ins.
Yeah.
Like that's probably the fastest way to 3 clients today.
Yeah.
If you can muster up the courage to go walk into somewhere and just say, hey, I have some skills. I'd love to help you. I don't know what your problems are. Do you want to talk about them? And I'll see if I can fix them. And if you're like you were starting out, like basically no skills, like maybe some video editing or something else random, like try that and just see what people say. But if you're a little bit more established and you have some skills, then, similarly, you could just start to do a little bit of outreach for those first 3 clients. But the market research is severely underrated because you have to, like, people are like, oh, you don't need to do market research for an agency because, like, you already know what they want. But, like, really you don't. And you haven't heard them say it in their own words. And so if you can just get on the phone with enough people and, like, hear what they're talking about and sort of get a pulse on the market, the most successful students I've ever had, and I think any coach or any agency has ever had is the people that are willing to put something into the market, listen to the feedback, and then adjust versus like sticking with the ego of like, I want this to work and I think this is right.
Yeah.
And then it flops in the market and they're just like boneheaded and won't change anything.
Yeah. Huh. Okay, so do you have any case studies or anything that you've done? Like, do you know any clients that you've had or anyone that's actually done walk-ins?
Yeah, a friend of mine did it in the lawyer niche,
Oh, really?
and yeah, just like walking around Orlando, personal injury attorneys, and
Yeah.
like just convinced, like came in with a box of donuts and said like, hey,
Really?
I want to like talk to you about your marketing, and this is like a severely saturated niche. Like they're
Yeah.
getting hit up, like personal injury attorneys, they make $500,000 plus per settlement,
Mhm.
and so that's a small settlement for them. And so they have a lot of vendors just trying to get their money in general,
Yeah.
and that I did a podcast with him. It's on my channel. It's
Okay.
called
Yeah, that's cool.
Alex Schlinsky, if anyone wants to look it up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I have like, because I did try that. I did that with trying to sell cleaning services. But we only went to 10 of them. We made it very niche. We tried to. It took like a whole day. Just one like took me 4 hours just to plan it out, and then like a whole day of actually just going door to door. And when I look back, I thought, well, we could have just gone to every single place, and we could have just left a flyer and just said, hey, I just want to see if we can work with you, whatever. And also, people don't want us cleaning services as much. But it was just a test, and we didn't really probably got 1 or 2 people interested out of 10. But then that was only 10, if we did a whole bunch more.
Yeah, and B2B is a little different. Like,
Yeah.
and it's I'm just, when you say advice for people starting out, I'm assuming they have no skills.
Mhm.
Like you have to make up for an enthusiasm what you don't have in skills, and that's what a walk-in shows.
Yeah.
If you have
That's
some
true.
skills, like I would do content all day. Like that's how I like to
Oh.
get clients.
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier when you're just starting out to put yourself into an uncomfortable situation and stand out because of that, rather than trying to stand out with the sea of other people who have more skills than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also had because I was trying to help my brothers, and they're younger, 16, 15, and trying to help them learn how to do. And it was just like, they're not good at a lot of things, like, oh, I don't know how to use a Google Sheet, or like they're cold calling, and I'm like, oh, don't say it that way,
Yeah.
little stuff like that. And obviously, okay, that took me years to learn, but I was like, how could I simplify this? And I just said, let's just go knock on doors and try to sell car washing. And so we just knocked on like 25 doors, and they both got like 2 cars each, and it was for $25. I'm like, okay, that took a half an hour, got 2 cars, that's like $50 in half an hour. That's $100 per hour. We could do this, and we can make $10,000 a month just doing that.
There you go.
Obviously, it's not as concrete as that, but it's like, if it's just literally just a game of numbers and knocking on doors, it's a lot easier. And obviously, that if they don't have any skills other than, I can wash cars or I can mow the lawn, whatever,
Yeah.
it'll be a lot easier. And that's what I think. There's so much opportunity outside of. I think I get a lot of people. I don't know if you do, but like, oh, I want to start an agency. I want to do this really hard thing, right? I want to
Yeah.
create an AI agency around this, whatever, right? And like, 1, that's very saturated. 2, go ahead and try to be OpenAI, and it takes 10 years to do, and hundreds of people. And you want to compete with them when they're already there and you have absolutely nothing. And so it's like, if you just compete with, because there's so many, let's say, other lawn mowing companies that suck. Like my dad, he just did marketing where he just passed out some flyers and he got some people and just grew from word of mouth. And it's like, okay, you passed out maybe like 10 flyers and you got plenty of clients.
Mhm.
If I just passed out flyers every single day, or I hired someone to pass out flyers, or we had someone that just sent text out to everyone in the neighborhood, that would be, obviously, if you just are better at the marketing side, I feel like you make a lot more money than just simple marketing, just numbers, knocking on doors.
Yeah.
But all right, and then from there you would knock on doors, get a few clients. Would you still? Because I know what you did was you started hiring people out. I remember seeing a picture. You had your team of like 10 people.
Mhm.
I think I look at a store like there's a restaurant right down the street, and it's just like cold cut sandwiches, and like they have 10 employees. Okay, you got this building, you got 10 employees,
Mhm.
you have all this overhead, and I know you're selling sandwiches for $10. Would you do that again, where you would like hire a whole bunch of people and have partners and all that stuff, or would you try to keep it small?
Yeah, I think it's really personality dependent. For me, I did it way too young,
Yeah.
and I had a discussion recently with another student about this. Like, hire pieces of the business out, not full roles. So what I mean by that is, you need someone to do outreach, or you need someone to do client results or whatever, like figure out the piece of that that's the most time consuming and the least skilled. So maybe it's the like hour of onboarding tech for some reason on high level, or maybe it's for outreach, like actually physically sending the messages if you don't have something that's automated. Like find that person and just do that tiny thing and do it on a contract basis, and don't have them dependent on you for their income.
Yeah.
And that's going to do wonders for your mental health as a business owner, especially
Yeah.
as a young business owner. Because for me, like just having, payroll wasn't insane compared, like my business wasn't even that big compared to what it could have been. But like having $20,000-$30,000 of payroll a month is just, it's not what anybody at 22 should be doing that one doesn't really have ambitions to build something that's billions and billions of dollars,
Yeah.
So for me, I really prefer contractors versus employees, and I prefer multiple people that aren't wholly dependent on me for their entire livelihood. Like I'm one of their clients versus the other way around, and then if they prove themselves, it's a really good relationship, and my business is at a point where I know this isn't going to be a stressful amount of money for me to give them for them to be wholly dependent on me, then they graduate to that next level, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I sort of went through a round in my current team right now where I was like, okay, there's a few other things I want to try. What should I be doing? And I had a video editor contractor who had been doing like a tiny bit of work for me for like a year. And I was like, oh, what if I just give more to him? I don't have to train him. I don't have to educate him on the business. I don't have to do anything really except say, here's this. You're already integrated in Slack. You already know who I am. And that was much easier. And again, he had already proven himself than trying to do, like go on Upwork and hire somebody without knowing any of their background and just taking them at their word. So no, I would not build a big team again. I
Yeah.
potentially down the line if my life ambitions completely change. But for now, I'm much more focused on like the next 10, 15, 20 years being like all about family and like business kind of being like 20 hours a week of stuff that I like doing, but nothing else.
Based on what you've seen so far, do you have any, if you were to restart all over again, but in a completely different opportunity? I know you were talking about like reinventing yourself. Is there other opportunities? Like I see people doing call centers that are like cold calling specific and they make a ton of money. I see opportunities with, helping my mom with her spa. I thought, okay, that's just such an easy, I could easily make an extra 30, 40 grand and also just like buy spas and then just turn them around because I know how to do it and like they have no clue what they're doing. And so is there any opportunities like that you could share?
Yeah, there's a huge delta right now between people that know how to use high level and people that have high level. There's a lot of money to be made in the middle there.
Yeah.
So build outs, support, just like consulting, like, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. Like it just seems like there's more and more people joining the platform every day. So if I just have someone in mind that's like, I struggle to get local business clients, like it just doesn't seem super scalable. Like for me, that model doesn't seem to be right. But I understand high level really well. Like just market yourself as a gun for hire for whatever matters in high level. And I know people that have like 6-figure contracts with one person that they're helping manage their SaaS and just like build everything out because they understand it. So I think that's one I'm thinking about every single day. Like there's just such a high need for this, like developers, build out people that understand the software from a strategic perspective. So I think that's cool. And then honestly, I've been so shocked at how easy it is to make review-based videos on YouTube and make affiliate commissions off of them.
Yeah.
Not just for high level. Like any software you've learned how to use and being in digital marketing for a year. I have a video right now that's taking off that's like top 6 CRMs. And I was like, I don't know if this will do well, but I like did Salesforce, Zoho, Monday.com, high level, and like 2 others that I can't remember now. And the amount of people that are looking for that level of information, instead of selling it one-to-one with contracts like I was talking about with people in the high level community, you take that knowledge, distill it, put it in a video, and put it online for whatever your thing is, and you'll be shocked at the opportunities that start coming your way. And the people, the thing about content and search-based content specifically is you get people in the right buying moment. They're like trying to figure something out. You provide them like a little bit of information in that moment, and then they're like, oh, this is the person I need to talk to, and they end up paying you or signing up with your affiliate link or whatever else it is. And I'm genuinely shocked how much opportunity there is around that, because it just seems saturated. Like, it just seems like too many people are making videos about that.
Yeah.
But every time I make something, it's like, wow, this ranked, and I didn't think I'd be able to rank for best CRM search, you know?
Huh. Yeah, I think I remember I had a video about Wallexy, which is a LinkedIn automation tool, and I made it a while ago, and they forced you to sign up for like the affiliate thing, and so I was already signed up, and then I was like, I don't like doing affiliates because I feel like it makes me biased towards a certain thing, whatever. But then I was like, I already have the video. What, like, and I wasn't like I was biased in the video, and it's like, why wouldn't I just add my, like, if it's just extra money, why not? And so then I put it there. I just left it alone, and like 6 months later, I checked on it, and I made $1,000. I was like, what the heck? Just for putting a link there. And I was like, dang, what the heck? Like, give me. And they had some sort of issues because they're in France, and so they couldn't send me the money. And I was like, give me my money, dude. You owe me $1,000.
Yeah.
But I was like, dang, okay, there's that opportunity. And then when I first started my channel, one of the first videos that popped off was just, is Seamless AI worth it? Which is a software worth, I don't know, it's like at least $3,000 usually. And I'm pretty sure they have some sort of affiliate thing. And so if I make a couple $100 off of every, and that video had like 5,000 views when my channel was like 30 subscribers. And so I feel like that is true. I think the thing that, I don't know if you see this a lot too, is that I realize is that you have to position yourself as, I'm the expert. Look at me, I'm the best. You need to buy me because I know what I'm talking about. The best way to do that is have your own Facebook group, have your own YouTube channel, have people come to you rather than you have to reach out to them. Hey, would you be interested in this thing? Now, my whole job is teaching people how to do cold outreach, but I've realized that the opposite end of the spectrum, getting people to come to you is a lot easier.
Yeah.
And so I have a whole section in my program, like how to do YouTube. No one uses it. And they're like, oh, how do I do WhatsApp? I'm like, you shouldn't be doing YouTube for what, like that offer.
Yeah.
But do you see that same problem where people are, they just don't, for some reason, they don't grasp the fact that you could just make a video on this and you could make a ton more money just by making the videos on this topic rather than just trying to get one-to-one clients?
Yeah, I think it's just like there's such a big barrier to creating YouTube videos for most people, where it's like they feel like they don't understand the gear, they're scared. It took me a month to make my first video, like between scripting, like refilming it, feeling like I wasn't doing well, my voice shaking, like everything. It took me so long. And so I get it when people like start and then stop, but I just always kept coming back because I was like, I just feel like there's so much leverage here, and I can't, even when I don't enjoy making the video, I'm like, the leverage is too good to pass up. Like me making this video once, having someone else edit it and post it and it get views for literal years and make me literal hundreds of thousands of dollars from not even selling anything, selling somebody else's thing.
I feel like I don't know if you feel like this way too at this point where you've made so many videos about high level where you feel like I've made this video like 7 times and I'm just like repackaging it in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm saying it slightly differently. And then so people will comment like, Carson, we've heard this before. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it gets views every single time I do it. So I don't care. Like, you're going to watch it anyways.
Fortunately or unfortunately, content. The name of the game is like make 50 videos, see what the top 5 were, and make those 5 again for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, I look at like top performing, okay, AI cold calling video did well, and I made it like 4 more times. Because just like different ways of AI cold calling versus this here. And so, and if obviously I'm saying AI cold calling sucks. And so, but if I was doing an affiliate, I know people that have spent $25,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, because they watched some of my videos, I'm like, okay, one, I said not to do it. You spent the money anyways. Why didn't I get money for that? So
that's
pretty, all right. Any other opportunities that you see?
Just that it doesn't need to be a business. Like software is really cool because it's recurring, but the affiliate side, like there's so much opportunity there. I have a friend that made a video reviewing a crypto app.
Oh yeah.
And instead of paying commissions based on how much like how many signups, it's how much money that person trades.
Oh, wow.
So he got one signup, and the person must have traded like $3 to $5 million, and he made like $25,000 from one customer.
Dang. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're saying that, but I've seen other people where they're like, oh, I reviewed a Wi-Fi router and I made hundreds of thousands. I'm like, a Wi-Fi router?
Yeah.
And I remember I went to which I think you should go to, the YouTube conference.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's in October, but it was really good.
Yeah.
I saw Mr. Beast. And the guy I was sitting next to, dude, it was so crazy. The stories you hear, well, I'm here struggling with like 20,000 subscribers, just trying to get a couple thousand views. This lady pulls up next to me and she's like, oh, I just make videos about me, my morning routine. Like literally it's the same video every time. I wake up at 4:30 a.m. I do my face wash cleanse and it's just like cute videos and like, yeah, my first video got 1 million views. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting here like scripting. I spent 18 hours editing this video and you're just like, so I woke up today at 4:30, no dip.
Yeah.
But so many of those people, you're like, how are you so dumb and yet you're more successful than I am? Then there was other people. There was a guy who was saying like, he makes videos like reviewing phones and mostly just Android phones. I'm like, okay, well, it's 50% of the market, but still a little smaller. Mm-hmm. But that he just says like they'll pay him to make the review, and then they'll also pay him for like the commissions on whatever he sells through those links. And he said he makes $5,000 to $10,000 per video that he puts out, and he puts out on a 3 week or something like that. And just from reviewing the phone, having a link, and it makes a ton of money on the back end. And apparently I didn't know there's so many different types of Android phones that come out every week. And so there's like LG's 15th phone this year has this thing and has this unique features, and why I would get it for this reason or whatever. And then you can make 3 videos per phone, whatever. So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity that nobody's capturing there. You started an agency and you sold it. If you can go in depth on where does the process start from someone reaching out to you, I want to buy it, or even if you put it on the market, I don't know what you did, and then actually to closing, the day of closing, what was that process?
Yeah, so there's 2 ways businesses get sold usually. You say, hey, broker, I want you to shop this around for me. At the revenue levels I was doing, which is like 70, 80K a month, like, people buy that, but you're not going to get a huge multiple. The fact that you're saying, hey, I want to sell this, doesn't look great, etc. So we never went that route, partially because we had a good buyer that was actually going to go through. And the stats are insane, like 95% of businesses will never sell. And so I knew, and I've talked to people since that are trying to sell their agency, and the buyer falls through, they can't come up with the money, they're not that serious, blah, blah, blah. And so having someone reach out to you is, while you may not get the bidding effect of like putting it on the market, at most of the revenue levels that people are doing in the agency space, like it's not going to matter that much. Like you'll probably just want to get out of your agency and start something new, and you want a decent payday for that. And just kind of putting the word out there and not maybe officially going through a broker could be a good thing for you. I would definitely recommend having a mergers and acquisitions person that helps you through the process. But the people who are trying to buy us already had someone, and so we just used them. So how do you get someone to come to you, and how do you make your business as an asset look attractive enough to want to buy? I think it comes down to 3 things. Shout out to Luca Good, who we both know. Build it as lazily as possible. And that's just a fancy way of saying, like, make it so that you're not in every single piece of the business and that it's reliant on you. It's okay if you're still working in it. It's okay if you're taking a salary. It's okay if you're like pretty much integral to what's happening. Just make sure that you could pass it off with 3 to 6 months of consulting to help with that transition, because most people are going to want that. The second thing is going to be brand. So do you actually have a brand versus just having a book of business? That will attract the right kind of like strategic buyer. So for us, the people that bought us were losing customers to us because we had really, really focused on our brand. And, I would have orthodontists say, I see your face every day.
Really?
And like, oh, I watched 3 of your customer interviews. They all really resonated. I'd love to sign up. Like, that's a brand. Whereas like most agencies, if you're 100% reliant on cold outreach, you're 100% reliant on one acquisition channel, for example, and nobody if you ask your industry, like, oh, what are the top 3 marketing agencies in your industry, and they wouldn't mention you, like you're probably going to have a little bit of a harder time, unless you just have a rock solid financials, which is totally fine. But the brand certainly did help. And then the last piece would just be like retention and actually having a good solid business that somebody wants to buy. So if they look at your book of business, they see that your churn is every 3 months and you have 80 customers, it's like, okay, all these people are going to be gone in a year anyway. Why would I want to buy that? But if going along with the brand, they see, okay, this is actual recurring revenue. There's a lot to be said for how long these people are staying, the positive reviews, all that kind of thing. And they have a team that can come along with the business and really help us run it. That's going to be much better. So how do we actually get the buyer? I reached out to a consultant I had at the time. I was like, hey, we're thinking of selling, or I'm thinking of kind of getting out of a partnership and going back on my own. Do you have any advice? And he said, oh, I was actually talking to my friends last week. And they were talking about buying you. I was like, what? And he put us in touch with them. And then it was like 9 months before everything went through.
Dang. That's pretty cool. So things go through, and then once you sell, what happens there? Do you just, you did consulting with them for a little while and just told them what to do?
Yeah, I didn't do much, to be honest. Like they're very, very established. They knew what they were doing. It's the same niche. Like it wasn't like they were acquiring something completely different than what they were already doing.
Yeah.
And if we had sold to someone that didn't know the industry, for example, or was in a different niche or something like that, I'm sure I would have been on a lot more calls. But I had a 6-month consulting contract where they were allowed to reach out about anything, and they barely reached out about anything. So
yeah. And what about looking back? Do you think it was worth it for you to do that?
Yeah, because the agency wasn't my magnum opus. Like it was just, it was my college. That's how I look at it. Like I went for 4 years, I put my head down, I learned everything I could. I did a lot of the work myself so that I could learn that. I think of it like leveling up your character in a video game. If you outsource everything, like these video games that turn into play to win, like you just pay for everything, you know, your character may look like it's leveled up, but it's not actually. Whereas if you spend that time and actually do the work to level up your character and the skills that you need to run a business, then you're going to feel a lot more invincible when it comes time for the next thing. So really it was just a want to like be back on my own and have the autonomy that not having a business partner brings. And partnerships are great in some ways and they're not great in other ways. And I was just ready for the next chapter. So 100% I would do it again. I wouldn't say like the money was completely life-changing. I wouldn't say that the regret that I didn't shop it around more and sell it for more because I was ready for the next thing.
Yeah. And then do you think that they got a good deal?
That's a good question. I haven't been asked before. Yes. For where they're at in business.
Yeah.
And like just being able to acquire a few key team members that we had trained really well. Like I can't speak to how much they would have spent on recruiting, but potentially they could have spent tons on recruiting and training people just like that. And so that was fast for them. And really they were just buying speed at the end of the day. And then I'm sure it's paid itself off and then some with the recurring that we had and what they paid.
Yeah. What about, I mean, so you see it more as like an acqui-hire. I've heard that where people will buy a company just to acquire the talent that they have.
Yeah, it was a fair amount of that. But, you know, like nobody's going to say no to an extra, let's say with churn, $50,000 a month in perpetuity if they can keep those clients on board. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, what's next chapters for you?
Yeah.
Moving?
Moving right now. Road trip across America. I came to visit Karsten. Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Just blooming city.
Don't come here.
What's next for me? I'm really interested in leverage and community. So how can I be working for 2 to 4 hours a day, but that be creating $100,000, $200,000 a month worth of profit? That's pretty much all I'm interested in. Like it's not about the skilling up anymore for me, even though that is in and of itself, it's its own skill. But I'm not as interested in training up media buying or whatever other skill that could get me there as the talent. I want to be like going in and doing what I do best for a very limited amount of time, and then getting out and just like living my life.
Yeah.
And then community, it's lonely being a digital entrepreneur sometimes. And so I want to figure out how to build meetups that don't suck and potentially like retreats and just like a local community of people that don't need each other for business purposes. That's what I hate about most networking and meetups and stuff like that. Like, okay, you're here because you have no other option to grow your business, so you have to beg me for referrals even though we don't know each other.
Yeah.
We're
trying to get clients while they're there.
Yeah, it's my biggest pet peeve. That I hate. And so how can I build something where like everyone's doing pretty well, but we need some interaction from people in our same-ish stage of business where we can understand each other and I don't know, I think there's a big mental health like undercurrent in this community that doesn't get talked about, especially with men, where it's like, hey, let's talk about a lot of this stuff because it can be lonely, especially when you have kids and a family and like you're busy outside of business. You need some friends that are alongside you in that path. So I'm interested in both of those things. I don't know how much of it I'll do myself versus just like attending or maybe helping promote other things, but that's what I want to fill my life with.
Cool. Well, where can people find you?
YouTube is a great place. I basically just make review videos at this point, but I also make strategic videos on just marketing in general, how I think about stuff like this, and I have a podcast which you can find on that channel as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you. I love you.
Thank you. Love you.
Look at us. We're business. All right.